for two. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this. Multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh.
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 371 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Geoff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeoffLambert77. Of course, we're part of the Going for Two Live podcast network, and we're live every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch. Of course, we're syndicated in all major podcast networks, and you can find all of our audio and video content over at goingfor2.live. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. What's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. Glad to be mocking.
Yes, sir. It is mock draft season.
It's mock time, draft time. This is fun. I'm excited.
100%. Good stuff. And joining us tonight, it seems like he's always joining us on a last minute occasion. He joined a couple weeks ago for Ryan. He filled in for Ryan on the last second. Today he jumps in. About an hour and a half ago, I was trying to find a replacement for Dan Toomey, who could not make it tonight. But Kyle Senra, of course, if you see him all over the Going for Two Live network, he hosts the press coverage podcast. He hosts the 2-point conversion. He does a little bit of stuff on the side as well. Senra Says is where you can find him on Twitter. What's up, Kyle?
Yeah, and I guess, has Ryan ever put a comment up like I just did?
Don't think so.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think so.
Mine are only just snarkier mean.
Okay, fair. But yeah, I guess you mentioned press coverage. I actually just had Jamie Grogue on the recent episode, the season 4 premiere. So that was this Monday, which was 25th, 2 days ago. Yeah. So yeah, people can check that out in the Going for Two archives on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and X.
I definitely pronounced this
subscribe, follow.
wrong.
No, Geoff does that way better than me, though. I'll say.
Good stuff. So, kind of plug your other show as well that you do with Full Press.
Yeah, so Full Press Fantasy Pod, Full Press Packers Pod. We actually, for years, would record Full Press Fantasy on Wednesdays, and now we do them on Tuesdays, which allows me to sub in last minute when Geoff needs. So it's worked out well this last year.
Appreciate it for sure. All right, so real quick, let me get the live read out the way, and then we'll talk about what we're going to be doing tonight. Of course, tonight's show brought to you, as always, by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their best ball leagues with huge tournaments, private leagues, pick'ems for all major sports. Use our promo code GF2. Get a deposit match up to $100. It's as simple as that. Download the app, Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code GF2, and you can start drafting. I am currently in the middle of about 4 best ball drafts. All of them are the rookie and sophomore tournaments, which I love to do. I think they made a mistake this year and made it 20 rounds. It used to be only 12 rounds. I don't know how you fit. Just rookies and sophomore. I think it was a mistake, but I think they've already kind of put them out there so they couldn't go back and fix it because all the ones I've done in the past.
Someone had to take Nathan Rourke in that one, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point where these guys, I don't even know their names. I think Brian Ford from Going for Two pointed out that some of the guys they have in there didn't even declare for the NFL draft, so aren't even eligible to play in the NFL, are listed on there. So, whoops, that's a mistake on Underdog Fantasy's part. But still a fun tournament to do, especially if you're into Dynasty. You can kind of see how the rookies, this year's rookies, stack up as far as talent level, or at least the perceived talent level from last year's rookies. And they're a lot of fun to do. So if you haven't checked that out, use our promo code GF2 on Underdog Fantasy and get your deposit match. So tonight we are going to be doing a 3-round SuperFlex non-tight end premium rookie draft. We got some guys that are going to be helping us out on the background that'll be doing the draft as we go through it. We'll do some listener questions if we have time. And we'll do also the Forgotten Fantasy Player, which Kyle had about an hour of time to get prepped for that. So hopefully he's got one a good one picked out.
Oh, that one's been brewing for years. I've had that one in mind. I think I had that in mind even on my last Armchair appearance. I didn't use that. I went with a different one. So
nice.
That one's been ready. That one's been locked and loaded.
All right, but as always, of course, we kick it off with our nonsense draft.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
Thankfully, because Kyle come on so last minute, tonight's nonsense draft was not super creative. Sometimes I try to get creative, and you got to do some research to find this stuff. But this one was pretty easy. In the spirit of Easter, which is this Sunday, we are just going to be drafting the best Easter candies. And as always, the guest gets to go first. So, Kyle, I'm curious to your 101 here.
Pretty clutch. I don't have the 101 in the rookie mock, but I'll take it here because I feel like it's definitely needed. This is tier 1 Easter candy. It's mini eggs.
Mini eggs,
chocolate hard candy. Not too hard though, but yeah, it's just the right amount of crunch, and it's a chocolate egg. So
yeah, mini eggs are definitely one of my favorites. My mother-in-law, whenever we go to her house, she has a whole bowl full of them during Easter
yeah,
time.
That's deadly. I eat way too many of those when I eat them.
100%.
Get the huge bag, not just the little bags. Gotta get the huge bags.
Yep. So I'm up at the 102, and I'm glad you went there because there actually is one that I would have taken over that one, and it's the Cadbury cream egg.
Oh, no.
I know sometimes it gets hate. Sometimes people don't like the Cadbury cream egg, but I love it. Just the traditional one. I don't want the caramel one or the other flavors that they try to mix in. Just the old fashioned Cadbury cream egg. I get those every year for Easter just because I love them. They only come around that time of year, so that's my favorite. Ryan, you got
I'd love to forget about AJ Dillon, Jamie, but no, he's still on the Packers again. Don't hurt Elton Jenkins this year. Please don't hurt Elton Jenkins this year. Just please don't hurt Elton Jenkins this year.
All quads, no talent. Yeah, why is this the hardest nonsense draft for me? I feel like Easter candy is just garbage. But there's one that stands above all that I thought you guys were both going to take. It's the Reese's eggs. I don't know why, but Reese's somehow makes their peanut butter eggs better than the regular peanut butter cups, and they're just elite. Not the mini ones, the full size ones. Mini ones aren't as good.
It's got a better peanut butter to chocolate ratio, I think, is what it is.
That's exactly what it is. Yes. Yep.
And I'm not even a fan of peanut butter, but I'm with you. 100%. Those are my favorites. So yeah, good stuff. All right, Kyle.
I want to eat all this stuff. Man.
Yeah.
I don't. I just this is not my favorite candies. Halloween, way better.
Fair enough. All right, Kyle, you got the 201.
Oh, it's I thought it was Snake. Oh, that's right. It is linear. Oh, yeah, it's rookie draft season. Of course, we should do things linear. Guess I didn't think beyond mini eggs and just went, oh yeah, I'll be fine. And no,
you're gonna get skipped like the Minnesota Vikings did 2 years in a row.
I guess I'll go with chocolate bunny.
Chocolate bunny, yeah, that's tried and true.
This is the hardest mock, dude. This is terrible. Nobody likes Easter candy unless you're if you're under 8. You don't.
Well, it's funny because I just read something. Now it may not be true, but apparently Easter is the second or third largest holiday in terms of candy being sold. Obviously, Halloween's one, but
and Valentine's Day too.
I would imagine Valentine's would be the other one. Yeah, could be Christmas too. I mean, that would be up there as well.
Yeah, Valentine's is probably just the expense of
Canadian candy. Yeah, sure. I should think Canadian. I have a whole round to think about it.
That's just maple syrup out the bottle.
I mean, I'll take that if that counts.
Candied bacon.
Ooh, that's my next pick.
All right, I'm up at the 202 here, and I'm gonna go with the tried and true jelly beans. It's got a classic jelly beans. None of the weird flavors. None of the Harry Potter weird flavors. Just a good old fashioned jelly bean. All right, Ryan, 203.
I don't know if it's considered really a candy, but it's given away in the candy baskets. It's Peeps, the little marshmallow guys.
Peeps, you either love them or you hate them, right?
I love them. I do. I really enjoy them. So I'm gonna go with Peeps.
One question I have for the haters: it's like, what makes them really that much different than any other candy? It's all just sugar. All of this is just basically the same main ingredient of sugar. So
yep.
You can't crush up and snort it.
All right, Kyle, you're up at your last pick here at the 301.
So that kind of candy. Okay, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. So are caramel a Canadian thing? Like, do caramel's not exist in the U.S.?
hell's a caramel?
Caramilk? No, we do not have a caramilk bar. Never heard of it.
Oh my god, it's like the best. No, I mean, I can see why Jamie wants me to send him. It's like the best candy bar ever. So I'll take the since Geoff specifically left out. No, just the OG one. I'll take the caramel egg.
There you go.
Because it's just chocolate caramel. It's like, so a caramel bar is essentially just like a little like squares. It's 2 by I think 8, 10, whatever it is, and each little square is just filled with caramel, and it's chocolate. It's just amazing.
It sounds like a pretty good. We might have something similar. I can't remember the name of it. Caramel.
I'm sure there's off brands that aren't caramel too, but it's just
Right.
It's a chocolate bar filled with caramel. It's amazing.
That's
the best chocolate bar ever.
All right, I'm up at the 302, and I'm just going to go with the tried and true foil-wrapped chocolate eggs. It's just a chocolate, it's full chocolate, not covered in the hard candy shell like the other eggs that Kyle took earlier. But yeah, I'll just take the good old-fashioned full-wrapped chocolate eggs. All right, Ryan, close us out here.
Yeah, what are the eggs that are like real hard inside?
Are they the Whoppers? Like they're almost like Whoppers, but they're Robin
like
eggs?
Sweet? Huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
those.
the
I
Robin
don't know
eggs.
if they're. I have no idea what they're called. I always used to get them as a kid and loved them. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, this is called Robin eggs. I think they're kind of like
Robin.
Whoppers, but they're like the Easter version of Whoppers.
Yeah. Robin eggs. Yeah, I'm gonna go with those. They're great.
Yeah, that's a good choice as well. All right, that wraps up the nonsense draft. So we are going to get started on our actual mock draft tonight. It is, of course, a SuperFlex non-tight end premium draft. I'm going to go ahead and hit the start button here, and hopefully all of our drafters are ready to roll.
I noticed Foss isn't in the draft. Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
he's all the way at the back.
But the green button just popped up.
Yeah, my phone. It's on my phone. I don't have it up.
All right, so
Coach Steve, I might time out. I might time out live. Who knows?
Coach Steve is on the clock. I don't see his little green dot, so hopefully he shows up here pretty soon. But we use this chance here real quick to talk about the 101. So the overall consensus is obviously the quarterback here in SuperFlex. And Caleb Williams is the overall consensus pick here. But Kyle, do you have anybody that you would consider taking over him here? Is it Marvin Harrison Jr., another quarterback, or are you pretty much locked into Caleb Williams at 101?
I could consider both, I think, to be honest. Marvin Harrison, maybe even Malik Neighbors, because it does seem like those two are really in a tier of their own. I'm excited to have Foss on the rookie wide receiver episode of the Full Press Fantasy Pod, because I want to get his thoughts specifically on those two, but on a lot of other wide receivers.
Neighbors.
I love Neighbors. I think they look to be such elite prospects that I think you could justify taking either 101. Maybe not Neighbors before the draft, but if he ends up, say the Patriots build through Jacoby Brissett and Nathan Rourke to make Jamie and I both happy, and they just draft Harrison at 3. People are going to hate that landing spot. If Neighbors is the guy that ends up with Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, I'd probably take him ahead of Harrison post-draft. So I think pre-draft, I think it would still be Harrison. But yeah, I get behind Caleb. I like Jaden Daniels enough because of the mobility that I think you can justify taking him ahead of Caleb too. If you really think there's a true higher ceiling with Jaden Daniels, I see no problem with it, to be honest.
I think the ceiling is the Bears offense, which sounds crazy to say, but DJ Moore, Keenan Allen coming right in with having and they're receiving running back with DeAndre Swift. If it's really locked there, I love that. I love that situation for him.
Yeah, that's a good call. So Coach Steve did time out, unfortunately, our first time out at the 101. So I went ahead and picked Caleb Williams. And I had a feeling Jamie was going to do this. As soon as I saw Jamie take the 102, he's been talking about it all off season. He does take Malik Neighbors here at the 102.
Yeah, go to our TikTok, listen to John Lobb talk about Neighbors versus Harrison.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, we just had Lobb on last week, and he has Neighbors over Harrison. So Jamie does take Malik Neighbors at the 102. Quinn takes Marvin Harrison Jr. here at the 103, followed by Josh Rodonauts taking Jaden Daniels at the 104. Kyle, you were up here at the 105.
Live pick. And I mean, I kind of, when I came in, that was the spot that was assigned to me. It was pretty easy. I think it's a tier of top 5, the 2 receivers and the 3 quarterbacks. It looks like they're all going to get super high capital. They all look like really good quarterback prospects. So I love getting Drake May here.
Yeah, Drake May's
it really does feel like this is the big tier break to me.
100%. Yeah, these are the top 5 that pretty much are going to go in all of your rookie mocks. I think even with quote unquote bad landing spots, do y'all think, Ryan? Do you think that this is still these top 5 no matter what?
Maybe a Doomsday could sneak in there, but I think the break's at 7. Honestly,
You think there's a big break at 7? Fair enough.
I think the break at 7. It's the break at 7, not the break at 5 for the teardrop. I think Bowers and Doomsday can make the argument to be up there.
Yeah. Now you think Bowers even in a non-tight end premium?
Before the next tier of guys, yeah. Like I'm taking him after all these guys, but I think he's there for me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's pretty much locked in as well. Consensus. We're just waiting for Dan to take his pick, so I'll go ahead and recap. Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. It goes to Kyle. So Kyle, let me ask you this question: If you were to pick higher, like how much further are you taking Drake May, or do you think Drake May is the 105 and that's where you're taking him?
Feels like it's the 105, but context does matter. If it's tough to think you're truly wide receiver needy. They do seem it's so. Even if it's not elite wide receiver, there's this idea that they're so attainable at any point where you can fill. It's so hard to get quarterbacks. If you're QB needy, like I can see May going 103. If you're really like, especially in like say a 14 team league where it really pushes up the QB scarcity. If it's 14 team SuperFlex, wouldn't be shocked if the QBs actually go 1, 2, 3, and then Harrison or Neighbors falls to 4 and 5.
Fair enough. All right, so Dan did timeout, so I'm going to take Roma Dunze here. And Ryan, you said that there's a potential that he could sneak into that top 5. Let me ask you this:
maybe? No, I think he's solid 6, honestly.
Solid 6.
Unless like a quarterback has a really bad situation, I think they could fall, or your team doesn't need one. That's the only way I kind of see it. But like, it's not out of the realm of possibilities because he is very good.
What as far as landing spot? Where do you think he could land up where it would, obviously help his maybe he can't move into that top 5, but makes him a even stronger 6?
Oh, gosh.
The Chargers, right? If let's say my theory comes true, Harrison goes to the Patriots, Neighbors goes to the Cardinals, the Chargers, okay, we're just taking the next best receiver and they just take a Dunze.
Dude, the Chargers would be.
I don't know if he completely goes ahead of the Canadian Josh Palmer in year 1, but he probably will.
He should.
Yeah. I mean, he should instantly. After how bad Quentin Johnston did last year, there's no doubt that if they're re-rolling on a higher wide receiver 2 in the draft, not a 20th overall, but like a top 6, Dunze is definitely playing over Johnson. I still think Palmer has a good role there, just because of they don't really have anything else. They've got
it's still a talent. Like it's still a talent. He's more talented. He has that draft capital. I don't think. That's not really insane. I don't think the Giants is a bad landing spot because he could garner all the targets.
All the targets, yeah.
The targets.
He's the kind of receiver that could be a volume, receiver and get that ton of PPR.
Just hope enough of them are catchable.
Right.
I mean, 160 targets, still catch 100. You're having a good year.
Yeah.
Has a rookie ever even come close to 160 targets?
No, I'm just
throwing numbers out.
I'm just throwing numbers out. Like he could be heavily targeted.
All right. So after Adunze, Gator J takes Brock Bowers, as we mentioned. That's sort of the tier break for Ryan at the 107. Then Steven is up next, and he takes the quarterback that I've seen kind of go in either this range or all the way toward the end of the first round in SuperFlex. McCarthy, who's now gotten a lot of buzz. Let me go ahead and make my pick while it's timing out here, and then I'll explain.
By the way, Puka Nacua just got 160 targets. So yes, I guess yes, there has been a
but that was a freaky season.
But I guess it does happen. Anquan Bolden also did it back in 2003 with only 16 games. So
yeah, and Jalen Waddle was not 160, but I feel like he had a ton of targets when he broke the record for most receptions as well. I don't know how many he actually ended up with, but he had quite a bit.
I am on the clock here. I'm taking Brian Thomas here. I should probably hit the button. I think it's just an outside play with his size, speed, athletic ability.
And I just realized for some reason it's on Snake, so I'm trying to fix that now.
Oh, so you're taking my pick away? I get it.
I think it's. I don't know if you can during the draft, to be honest.
I think I can. I just did, right? It's not showing up on my end, but it is showing up on the app at least.
I don't see it in this unless I have to get out and come back in. Oh yeah, okay, it did change. Yeah,
It's just not changed on the web page yet.
I think you got to log out and log in. That's
Coach
what I
is
just
up.
did.
Yeah.
Or not log in. You just leave the draft and come back, and it'll, or maybe even just refresh the page.
Yeah.
All right, let's go there and then come back in. There we go. So Coach Steve is now on the clock, and I do see his green dot, so he is actually there. Let me recap that first round while he's making his pick there. Caleb Williams goes 1, Neighbors Harrison, the next 2, then the 2 quarterbacks, Daniels and May, Roma Dunze, Brock Bowers, McCarthy. I didn't get a chance to explain my pick, but Keon Coleman, I took at the 109. I took the 109 on purpose because I knew that that's where he would fall to. I purposely took him over Troy Franklin and Brian Thomas Jr. If you've watched the show at all, you know I'm a huge Keon Coleman person. I do think that this is kind of in the range where he fits. I think maybe I have Brian Thomas Jr. Ranked ahead of him, but I had intentions of taking Keon Coleman here. So maybe in a real draft, I take BTJ, but Keon Coleman I love. And then Busty Chuck takes Troy Franklin at the 110. Xavier Worthy goes to Chew. And then, as Ryan mentioned, he takes BTJ. Kyle, I want to ask you, as far as the order of this, is there anything surprising to you here in this first round so far?
Surprising, no. Do I agree with it? Also, no. So I don't have a Dunze as the wide receiver 3, which is pretty hot take. I actually think it's Xavier Worthy. And if anyone saw, I tweeted out before the combine that Xavier Worthy was my wide receiver 3. So it literally has nothing to do with his record-setting 40 time. That being said, you add that record-setting 40 time to his production profile, especially as a freshman. His age-adjusted stuff is incredible. I think he's the clear wide receiver 3, not even just that I have him ahead of a Dunze. I think he's like almost all of my important marks I look at, he's ahead of a Dunze. I am up. And yeah, this would be a weird one. Well, I'm thinking about that. Just the 3 important markers I look at. Career average dominator rating. Worthy outdoes a Dunze 31.4 to 25.6. A 31.4 average dominator rating for the career is pretty wild. To be honest, his breakout age at 18, it's the youngest in the class of any good receivers. The single best receiving yards per team pass attempt. Worthy, I think he did it in the sophomore year, 2.89. This past season, Dunze was 2.85. Close, but still Worthy ahead of a Dunze in all the important markets. The fact that he went 111, huge steal for Chew. And yeah, because to me, I'd take him at the 106, and that's why I think it's a clear tier break at 5, because I don't believe it's just Dunze and Bowers. I think that tier is actually a lot bigger. I'd be willing to include basically all those first rounders. I would say it's almost a big tier from 106 to 112. I would say those should be the 12 players, but I would be, I think, my top 12. So the first round players are fine, just the order. I'm just I take a big stance on Xavier Worthy as I will on the player I just picked, Bo Nix, here in a second.
Yeah, so we'll catch up here. We got Adonai Mitchell goes 201. Lad McConkey goes 202 to Jamie. Corum goes at the RB1 spot here at the 203. Rome Wilson at the 204. And then, as you mentioned, you just took Bo Nix. Is there anybody that you would have taken over Bo Nix that went before? Like, would you have taken, McConkey or Adonai Mitchell over Bo Nix?
I don't get it with McConkey. It's one of the worst production profiles we've ever seen coming out of college. I don't care how good the combine was. He is my wide receiver 19. And he's only that high because I think I've only actually looked at 19 wide receivers. If it was any longer, he'd probably fall down. He never achieved a 20% dominator rating. His career average dominator is 13.3, which is awful. His single season best receiving yards per team pass attempt 1.45. I mean, yeah, okay, he's a great athlete. Like the whole John Ross thing with Xavier Worthy is overblown, I think. Because their production profiles just aren't the same at all. To me, McConkey, like that's the John Ross story. He's just not going to go as high as John Ross did. But like I don't see it at all. I want no part of Lad McConkey whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think I've read somewhere too that, it's not very often that you go from a college receiver not getting volume to the NFL and suddenly getting a ton of volume. It doesn't happen often. And that's, I think, what Lad McConkey needs to be successful in the NFL is the volume. And I don't know if he'll get that volume. All right, so Dan's on the clock here, and he timed out, so I'm going to pick for him. I'm going to take my RB1 that was still on the board, and it's going to be Mr. Trey Benson. I know rookie running backs this year are pretty flat, Ryan, and it all depends on landing spot and who goes where. And we talked about it a little bit last week with John. And if someone goes to the Cowboys, they're probably the RB1, regardless of where we have them ranked now. But if you're ranking these running backs, who do you have at your number one?
It's going to come down to draft position, but I like Jonathan Brooks' overall profile. I think he has the ability to stay on the field. I love Trey Benson's skill set. I don't love his vision because he can't find holes. We were talking about it last week. He runs into a lot of butts, which isn't great.
Is this Cam Akers all over again?
Well, Cam Akers had no offensive line. Like, it didn't exist.
Okay, so
he had a functional offensive line.
Florida State finally figured it out.
Yeah, Florida State had a very good offensive line. He just ran into him all the time. There's a few guys. It's very, very up and down for me. But I could maybe Jalen Wright's another one who could make that run as well.
Yeah.
Jalen Wright, Jonathan Brooks.
Another one that I like, and Gator just in the chat here mentions that I'm being rude. I just sniped him because he was going to take Benson here. He goes with Marshawn Lloyd at the 207. So I guess that must be his RB2, Marshawn Lloyd, who's another guy that's been kind of getting some buzz as a potential top running back with a good landing spot. So I think
he's another guy I hate. This doesn't look good in I'm not going to say model, but I didn't like the tape at all, and his production profile is not good. His combine was great, but like that's all he's got. And
yeah,
I'd much rather have Trey Benson. I think there's he hit the 20 reception threshold. Lloyd didn't, even though Benson's best season is 20 and Lloyd's 18. But yeah, everything else points towards Benson pretty easily. So I agree there.
All right, so I am on the clock. Real quick, Ryan, if you don't mind, can you just recap the second round for us so far?
Second round, we got Adonai Mitchell, Lad McConkey, Blake Corum, Roman Wilson, Bo Nix, Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, Jonathan Brooks, and Geoff is on the clock.
I am on the clock, and I'm going to take the guy that you just mentioned as a potential RB1, depending on landing spot. So I'm going to make it 4 straight running backs and take Jalen Wright here at the 209. So I like my start. I know people hate on Keon Coleman, but Keon Coleman, Jalen Wright, I think was a solid pull here for the first 2 rounds. And Kyle, I want to ask you, because this is not typical of most years. We went an entire first round and a few picks without getting the first running back off the board, and now we have 5 running backs going here in the second round. Do you think that changes at all post draft? Do you think any of these guys can sneak into that first round with a good landing spot?
I think, yeah, exactly. I don't even think it's going to be all capital, because it doesn't seem like any of these guys are getting first round capital. Frankly, they shouldn't. I'd agree that the reason it is this is just not a good running back class compared to what we've had. We've had at least every year at least one guy come out that's just amazing. Ray Davis, who still hasn't been taken, he might not even be drafted. I don't think I'm even going to take him. He was my number one in film grade for running backs, and his score would have put him at RB 11 last year. So wow. It's just the top end just isn't there. But there's still good running backs, and I think everyone's got a different take on who the RB1 is. So it makes to see 4 straight go, that's each person planting their flag on a different spot, because there are it's got good depth. It seems like this class does, at least the middle tier depth seems like that there's going to maybe be a lot of 3rd to 5th round running backs taken. Whereas, in previous years, we've seen maybe 2 or 3 go in each round, and then it's 6th round, there's tons. This year, there might be that those middle rounds might condense more towards there. So it really does come down to landing spot, like you said. Who ends up on the Cowboys? Who ends up on the Chargers? There's a few spots right now with openings. I also had Evan Hull pretty high last year. So
yeah,
not quite RB1, but you know what? To be fair, if he was in this class, he'd be my RB1. So yeah.
All right, let's round out the rest of the second round here. So as I mentioned, I went Jalen Wright at the 209. Ricky Pearsall goes to Busty Chuck at the 210. Jalen Polk at the 211 and Xavier Leggett at the 212. Ryan, anything in that second round stand out to you? Anybody reach for anybody, or anybody get a super value in that second round?
I mean, on the second round, it feels pretty status quo. I don't know.
Bo Nix was the biggest reach.
Yeah, that was the words about to come out. I don't love the Bo Nix there. I don't believe in Bo Nix. I
don't know if it's my Oregon bias, even though I don't like college football. I had cousins that actually went to the University of Oregon, so and their jerseys.
He's an older prospect. He didn't really break out. His whole game kind of like he didn't pass until he went to Oregon back when he was in Auburn, and a lot of it's just the system, those wide open passes. I don't see it with Nix.
Yeah, the 113 career touchdowns is great, but yeah, the context is he was in college for so long to accumulate that.
Right, and I saw a stat too, and I was trying to find it while y'all were talking, but a very large percentage, I wouldn't say large, but comparatively speaking to the other quarterbacks, of his production came on screenplays, came on plays with negative ADOTs, and that's that Oregon offense. So can he push the ball down the field? Maybe he can, and we just haven't seen it yet in college. But yeah, that's something that I've heard as a negative towards Bo Nix is the fact that he throws a lot of screenplays.
So it's funny, Josh just took Audric Estimé, which I want to say in French. He especially went to Notre Dame. Like everything about him seems French, even though I think it's Audric Estimé. I guess the last name still sounds French. But there were two guys that had like the highest contact balance score for me in this class. Audric Estimé is one of them. So, he could be a true goal line back. The pass catching work isn't there though. And so I'm actually going to take my RB1 here in the third round. I was debating between my RB1 and my wide receiver 8. So let's just go with the 1, right? Number 1's better than 8. So I'm going to take the RB1 of this class. I think he has a chance to be a true workhorse, and no one's talking about him. I mean, Troy talked about him on Brian's show because I suggested to Troy that he talked about him. But here we go. Blake Watson out of Memphis. I think the RB1 of the class. No one else believes it. I think the next highest ranking on the Going for Two rookie ranks is RB15. So I just don't know if no one just knows about him. He's got the best scrimmage. I mean, the production profile is the best in this class, I think, from a rookie running back. He averaged 1,432 scrimmage yards per season at FBS. Played 2 years, Old Dominion and then Memphis last year. But all the crazy production, like Audric Estimé's up there, Cody Schrader at Missouri, and everyone talks about Bucky Irving, but none of these guys have like the seasons that Blake Watson did. And enough of that is pass catching. He had 53 catches this last year at Memphis. But that tells me, again, the contact balance score being one of the highest in this class, that pass catching ability, he can contribute on the important downs. Third down as a pass catcher, the goal line downs with touchdown upside. So I'm all in on Blake Watson. He's probably going to be so late that you can, even though you will be able to get him in the third or even fourth rounds post-draft. Doesn't seem like he's going to get that early. If he goes to a great landing spot, though, I'm going to be definitely reaching on him in a lot of drafts. But he'll be that kind of like Evan Hull last year. You could just bank on him always being there in the back of the third round. If he is, I'll take him every time.
Fair enough. So Dan's up, and he's timed out the first 2 rounds. So I'll use this chance to recap the third round so far. QB went at the top there with Penix, Baker receiver at the 302. I don't even know these guys' first names, so I'm having to just use their last names currently.
Jacob.
Who is it?
Jacob.
Oh, okay. And then Cowing. Is that how you say his last name?
I've never even heard of this guy, so yeah, I assume so.
All right, and then Audric Estimé, and then Kyle just talked about Watson. So Eagle Dan is on the clock, and I will take my guy that was my RB1 pre-combine, and I think is a steal here in the third round. I'll take Braylon Allen as his pick here. So he ends up with Rome Odunze, Trey Benson, and Braylon Allen, which is a pretty good haul for that 106 pick that he had there.
And I love this point by Josh because I know Jamie was, I think, calling me out over Jatavian Sanders or Corley. But yeah, I'll take the more athletic guys. Jatavian Sanders reminds me of Michael Mayer, where, okay, there's all this hype about him, and then his combine's good, but not great. And there's other tight ends that do a lot better. And guess what? Who didn't break out? This historic rookie tight end class where most of them broke out. Who didn't break out? Michael Mayer, right? And so always chase the athletic, and especially Mr. Athletic Profile, Jamie. talking about Sanders. But yeah, I definitely love Josh's call on the Canadian Theo Johnson, who just destroyed the combine. He's my tight end 2 of the class, honestly.
Nice.
He's if you can get him in the 4th round of rookie drafts, perfect.
Good stuff. And Gator's complaining in the chat that I once again sniped him with the Braylon Allen pick. So he's on the clock currently. He's probably scrambling to find.
But that's the problem. He's not complaining about me taking the RB1 and Blake Watson. I don't get it.
I think you're on an island there, Kyle. I think you're good with that one.
I'll take it. I'll be on Kyle Island. Oh boy, that sounds awful. That sounds annoying.
Ryan, is there anything in this 3rd round so far that surprised you, or anything that you felt was a huge value here in the 3rd round?
I mean, if Blake Watson is truly the running back 1, yes, but I think Braylon Allen kind of surprised me to fall this far. Some people did view him as the RB1, and things have changed, and we're kind of double nicking him for the combine when it wasn't atrocious like estimates. I think we still have the talent there. It's proven that he can run. I think we're letting him fall a little bit too much. That's the biggest one standing out for me.
Yeah, I think Braylon Allen was probably, because like I said, I mentioned I had him as my RB1 pre-combine. I think he's my RB5 now, which isn't too terrible of a fall. So in this, he ends up being the running back 8, I believe, if my quick math is correct, maybe the running back 9. So yeah, it's a huge value there.
You're right with 8.
Is it 8?
Yeah, 5 in the 1st round, and he's the 3rd of the 3rd. First round,
What,
second
one
round.
Thing I want to say,
that's the new 1st round for this running back class. Is the 2nd round.
Completely unrelated to this mock draft necessarily is sleeper. So on my mobile phone, which is obviously very skinny and small, has the player's full first and last name. But then on the desktop version, where it's got all this space, you get a first initial and a last name. So Sleeper, please fix that. Put full names up.
Oh, they won't. They refuse to acknowledge the website even exists, to be honest.
Yeah, they're not big on the website, that's for sure. All right, so after Braylon Allen goes Jalen McMillan to Gator J, and then Steven takes Devontae Walker.
This was the guy I was debating about. That's a great pick. I think that's probably the best value of this round, to be honest. So
I've seen Devontae Walker sneak into the top of the 3rd, bottom of the 2nd for guys that really like him. So the fact that he got him here at the 308 is a pretty good steal there. So
career average dominator rating is 36.3. For reference sake, Marvin Harrison, who even at the stacked Ohio State, still put up a monstrous 38.6. So not even 2.5 percentage points higher than Walker. Of the top 20 wide receivers, it's the 3rd highest. So there's definitely parts to his profile that are great. Just the late breakout age, only at 21. And this last season was pretty good, but not necessarily as good as, say, a Dunze season. So there's definitely parts of his profile that are great, but others that aren't as good. So I can see why he's falling. But like I said, I've got him at the wide receiver 8 right now. So great value here.
All right, so I am on the clock currently. And
of course, that's a good job, Stephen, from the guy who took Bo Nix in the early seconds. So I don't know if that's if that's good news that I'm agreeing with your pick.
I'm going to go with another running back here in the 3rd, because I do think that when you get to the late 3rd, I think running backs a lot of times is the ones you want to target, because they do get opportunities eventually because of injuries. It seems to be the position that gets the most injured, and some of these guys do get a chance. Now, will they pan out when they get that chance? Different story. But when you get to the late 3rd, there's not much left to pick from. So I'm going to go with Will Shipley here. I don't necessarily love his profile, but I do think he has some explosiveness. He's got some pass catching chops as well. So I think Shipley, as a late 3rd round pick, is worth a flyer if he can land with the right team and be in a committee where he gets that passing down role. I think he could be something special. So at 3.9, I'll take that. Followed up my Will Shipley pick with Rattler, and then Davis. A bunch of names. I got to look up their actual full names. Isaiah Davis, Spencer Rattler. I knew that one, but Isaiah Davis, the running back. Does anybody know anything about Isaiah Davis? Because he's not someone that's on my list here.
He's went to a small school. Yeah, I've got him. I watched some games of him. So film grade wise, where was he? He wasn't that great. I know that. I had him 16th. Really good footwork, but actually his burst score was great. But yeah, I found contact balance is pretty bad, and then his I have called fluidity, body flexibility, ability to just make guys miss, run with a low pad level. Those weren't great, so it really did knock his score. Production-wise, he's fantastic, but because he went to South Dakota State in the FCS, okay, is that 1,259 scrimmage yards per season that he averaged? Like, should that be viewed better than someone who maybe had less but at the FBS level, right? So that's what's tricky there. His combine was decent, 8.74 on the RAS score. For reference sake, that's just slightly higher than Audric Estime, though, like a 0.1.5 above. So like for Estime to have such a poor combine, like Davis wasn't that far ahead of him.
Right.
So I've got him right now at RB 16.
Fair enough.
But there's going to be guys like, I think you're one of the few, Jeff, I've seen have Roman Hemby ranked.
Yeah.
I love him. He's been a top 10 RB for me the whole time, but he's probably going to go undrafted, certainly in rookie drafts. So he's a great guy to just pick up after rookie drafts.
Just pick up off,
if he gets drafted, because I think he's got great tape and good production through college. So that's someone literally no one's talking about.
All right, Ryan, you are up for the last pick here. You're Mr. Irrelevant.
I didn't pick it because I wanted a little drama. Because everything in my soul tells me to take Bucky Irving. Because I loved him before the combine. But the thing is, when you look fast and you don't run fast, a lot of that is due to the offense you're in. And at this point of the draft, I am taking pure upside. And we've had so many people who've moved up and had amazing combines and performed well with elite athleticism. But I don't know why everybody just forgot about Isaac Guardado. The fact that he's 225 pounds and runs a 4.33, that's going to get you on the football field. Unless you can't see any holes whatsoever, you're going to get on the football field because that's elite.
Hey, the Packers just re-signed A.J. Dillon, so there's hope for Guerrero yet if he's got poor vision.
But the thing is, that kind of athleticism and 1,000 scrimmage yards last year, over 6 yards a carry the last 3 years. I mean, we're talking a talented player who can break big plays. Why not take the chance there at this pick?
Yeah, good stuff. A couple of things here. Gator points out he thinks the comp for Isaiah Davis is Tyler Algier is his comp for him.
Did Isaiah Davis play linebacker before?
Yeah. And Jamie wants to know is how was Malachi Corley or Jatavian Sanders not drafted? I mean, he said go this late, but I don't even see them being drafted. For reference
sake, I've got Jatavian Sanders at tight end 5, and the only thing keeping him in the top 5 is the fact that he's probably going to be the second one taken.
I'm not drafting tight end this year unless it's Bowers. So we're going to be honest. The chances of them
pretty much Bowers or Theo Johnson.
This is what happens every year with rookie tight ends. People draft them. They don't perform year one. They get cut. It's a wasted draft pick. You pick them up in free agency after they have a 30-yard 2-touchdown drain, and then they drain on your bench, or maybe they break out. But they never end up staying on the original team. It's just a wasted pick to me.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. You can get them a lot cheaper. You can get them cheaper after their first year when they don't perform. You get them cheaper than you would in your rookie drafts if you drafted them. So just wait till they get dropped or cut or whatever.
I would rather trade. If I wanted to take a tight end, I'd rather trade that draft pick.
Agreed.
Theo Johnson, Ben Sinnott, and Jared Wiley, they all had pretty ridiculous RAS scores. I'd rather take all 3 of them ahead of Jatavian Sanders. Now, to Jamie's credit, I'm looking at my rookie wide receiver ranks, and of the guys not drafted, Corley is the second one on my list. There's one guy ahead of him, Jermaine Burton. They have very similar profiles. They both had late breakout ages at 22. Their career dominator ratings are almost identical. Jermaine, 21.7, Malachi Corley, 21.5. So literally almost identical. Jermaine's his senior season, or I don't know if it's senior, but his last season in college was better than Corley's. Receiving yards per team pass attempt, he had 2.46. Corley at only 2.08. That's the only thing that really differs in their profile, where Burton's kind of above average for the top 20 guys here, whereas Corley's really right around the average, slightly below average. So I'd probably go Jermaine Burton, actually, if the receiver's not taken, but Corley would be the next one after that. Certainly, I think both would be drafted in the 4th. I still don't know who this Jacob Cowing guy is. I definitely would. I mean, I'll have to look him up. Maybe he's got a great profile, but I feel like other than Walker, I probably would have taken both of those, Corley and Burton, ahead of the other 3 receivers that went in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I was just going to recap the 3rd round. So 301, Michael Penix. 302, Javon Baker. The 303, as you just mentioned, Jacob Cowing, Audric Estime, Blake Wilson, Braylon Allen, 3 running backs in a row.
Blake Watson.
Oh, yeah, Blake Watson.
Jeff doesn't even know the name of the RB1 in the class. Because, again, that's why no one's talking about him. Sorry.
No one's talking about Blake Watson. Jalen McMillan, the Tez Walker, go 307, 308. Will Shipley, I take it, 309. Spencer Radler, Isaiah Davis, and Isaac Guerrero round out the 3rd round. So that was the 3-round SuperFlex non-tight end premium mock draft. I want to thank everybody who participated in this. Really do this. I just cut myself off by accident.
I was gonna say mock and roll. I did it so powerfully that it cut Jeff's feet off. I was like,
cut me off completely. But yeah, thanks guys to everybody who jumped on to do that mock draft. Really appreciate it. I will post the results in the description of this YouTube feed once I'm done. So if you want to check it out, you can do that.
So everyone told me who Colleen is. So thank you, chat, for answering the question. I'll have to look him up.
Fair enough. All right.
He's probably going to be better than Lad McConkey. I'll say production profile. It's hard to feel like you'll be lower than Lad McConkey.
Kyle is a Lad McConkey hater, and I think John talked him up last week. So he's one of those guys.
He's a floor play.
And I've got no problem being on an island. If I see something that I think is the truth, I'll stay on that conviction, even if everyone else doesn't.
Fair enough. All right,
Justin Fields is still amazing, right? I'm still sticking with that one.
Still sticking on that one. All right, let's go. Let's get some listener questions in here.
Go ahead. Ask me anything.
All right, this first one here is from Hatchet on the Discord. So he actually asked this question in the On the Clock channel, which means he was literally on the clock when he asked it. So I'm assuming he made this pick already, but we're going to enter it anyway. He's on the clock. His roster is balanced, has no specific need. He's in the 16th round, and these are his options to take in the 16th round. He's got Antonio Gibson, Jerome Ford, Tyler Lockett, Bateman, Mingo, Hyatt, or to take the 302 in the rookie draft. So, Kyle, there's a lot of names there. So if you need to read them again, let me know. But give me your thoughts here.
I'm actually looking up the Google sheet, so I see all the names. So thank you for sharing the Google sheet. My first instinct is, at this point, if you're saying your roster is balanced, I also think balanced age-wise, where, okay, I have to take, my team's so old that I have to take a Mingo or a Hyatt, get those young receivers. If you're truly balanced, at this point, it's like, what can score me the most points? And looking at Tyler Lockett, that's pretty juicy this late. You're taking him for no future trade value whatsoever. You're literally just taking him for the points. That being said, if I already had 5 or 6 decent receivers, I probably would then just go Jerome Ford. So saying roster balance, no specific needs, I'd imagine Hatchet's already got so many wide receivers. Is Lockett really worth it? So I think I want Jerome Ford just on the chance that Chubb isn't ready to start the season. How much of a role does he have as a true workhorse throughout this season? Re-injury risk is also there with Chubb. Not that Jerome Ford is without injury risk himself, but I think that's maybe the best upside play, because if he truly gets that big role in Cleveland, that could mean a lot of points.
Fair enough. Ryan, what are your thoughts here at this pick here?
Depending on my team, probably Ford or Lockett. I agree with that. I think depending on what you have, I think Ford gives you a lot more upside just because of the fact Chubb's coming off knee injury and he performed very well, I'm sure. And we've seen the Browns do the split backfield before. So I like Ford there, but Lockett's close.
Yeah, and honestly, Jamie, I wouldn't be shocked if they re-sign Kareem Hunt too and make this a truly bad problem.
Jamie's saying his boy Foreman is screwed Roshan Johnson, so he's screwed Ford. So fair enough.
So I mean, Josh is saying Antonio Gibson. I think I can get the appeal. We'll see what that split looks like between him and Ramondre Stevenson. My initial thought is Ramondre's still the lead back there, because I mean, even the great Ezekiel Elliott only took over once Stevenson was hurt. They were still pretty staunch. Yeah, Stevenson's the guy. He also contributes enough on passing downs, and that's typically where Gibson would get his role. So I don't know that Gibson is coming in there, okay, you're going to get every third down either. So I just figure near the goal line, it's probably Stevenson. Gibson with his fumbling issues, he might get a lot of carry. They might even like have similar number of carries through the year, but is Stevenson going to get the more valuable carries? That's my fear.
100%.
But they did sign Gibson long term, so maybe the thinking is they do want Gibson to be a long term lead back as well. So those were kind of the three names. It's funny. I thought Foss was for sure going to go Hyatt. If the Giants traded for a quarterback and we're going in with Daniel Jones right now, would your answer have changed?
Maybe, but yeah, we saw a lot on Ford. I liked what we saw on Ford this year a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Ford definitely looked good. And for me, so I'm looking at this from the way I build my rosters, and usually by this round, I'm looking for the ultimate upside. And for me, I think I'm taking the 302. We just did the rookie mock. And
so Javon Baker.
I wouldn't take Javon Baker there, but looking at what we picked, I'd take
Braylon Allen, wouldn't you?
I would take Braylon Allen there, the 302. If he's there, if I have potential,
I'd accept that.
I'm going for ultimate upside, and I would definitely take the 302 here. I think if it was a 307, 308, probably not. I'm probably going with what y'all said, Tyler Lockett to be the a safe bye week filling guy, or Jerome Ford with a little bit of upside there with Nick Chubb being potentially not healthy to start the season, but the 302 is still a pretty good pick in a pretty deep class, so I think I'd go 302.
No one said Bateman or Mingo, and rightfully so. You definitely shouldn't be those two.
Agreed. All right, the next one here is from Franchise78 on Discord. It is a half-point PPR SuperFlex tight end premium, which the premium is 1.5. Which side of this deal would you like? Ryan, will go to you. Saquon Barkley or the 109, which the
Saquon.
109 probably isn't. You think Saquon?
It's not. We just went through it. There's that drop off at 7, and yeah, it's Saquon.
Yeah,
I'd rather
it's probably not Bowers.
Probably go with Xavier Worthy because I imagine Xavier Worthy is going to be there a lot of the time. So, and again, post draft. I mean, and the thing is, going with the 109 is as much as you assume it's going to be Worthy. That also gives you the out that okay, if Worthy goes to a really bad landing spot, doesn't get the capital, you still have flexibility.
I have an Xavier Worthy thing that kind of might hurt your idea on him. But I'm going to say
is this like me with Lad McConkey?
It's Saquon. It's not even close.
So let me ask you this, Ryan. Let's say you're not a contender this year. Is it the 109 at that point?
No, it's still
taking Saquon.
Because if I'm not a contender and I have Saquon, come midseason, what's going to be worth more to me? The Keon Coleman or Saquon Barkley, who's starting and getting touches in a great offense in red zone transits. Who am I trading for more at that point? Like, who helps me?
Will he get goal line carries or just hurt to get them all? Probably not.
I mean,
I'm just worried about the receptions. That's been like Saquon's true bread and butter. Like he hasn't put up a true monster touchdown season. Like he'll double digits.
But that's because they haven't played with a lead in New York.
Well, I know that, but it's also it's not a great goal line offense for the running backs just because of how much Hurts will take away because he has been capable. And if Saquon's maybe not getting the touchdowns he's used to, and he's certainly not going to get the receptions he's used to.
Saquon's not getting that many touchdowns already though, because he's played on
10 last year on an offense that I think Daniel Jones passed for 2 touchdowns. So like I don't know. I'm concerned with Saquon going to the Eagles. I don't like it personally. So I'm kind of just he's at a point where his age-wise in Dynasty, I really don't want to roster Saquon. I'd rather trade for. It's probably not going to cost less. Like I want to go for Rashad White. I want to go for an Isaiah Pacheco or a James Cook. Like, give me those guys still on the rookie contracts. Second contract for Saquon on a team where, again, his whole thing has been receptions throughout his whole career. He's led the Giants in targets how many of the seasons he was there. He's probably the third option in the receiving game. That's because I assume he's going to get more targets than Dallas Goedert, but there's also maybe a chance he doesn't get more targets than Dallas Goedert. I don't know how realistic that possibility is, but I think that's there. And yeah, I also do like Gainwell enough. Barkley has had no competition whatsoever. Gainwell
Swift had 268 touches last year, and he's not the back Barkley is.
And yet he had a much worse season than the way we typically had because he didn't have the receptions. He's also feasted on receptions. That's why I'm glad Swift
had the most scrimmage yards he's ever had in his career. His touchdowns were down, but he had the most.
His touchdowns were down, and his catches were down. In PPR leagues, that's what drives value. So that's my concern. Is we just saw Swift go from, the Lions were never that great. Like the Lions now were not what they were with Swift most of his career, right? I guess the 1 year Jamal Williams vultured a bunch of touchdowns, but we saw him in theory go to a better situation with the Eagles, yet receptions, touchdowns go down, fantasy points go down as a result. I actually love this for Swift leaving. I think he'll have the opportunity to do those things in Chicago. Personally, I'd rather have Swift in Dynasty than Saquon. So that's another guy I'd rather invest in than Saquon.
So I'll be the tiebreaker here. Kyle's taking the 109. Ryan's taking Saquon pretty easily. So for me, again, looking at this, because we're looking at this in a vacuum, I'm looking at this as if this was my roster. If I am a non-competing team, I'm taking the 109, but I'm trying to package it to move up. And I think right now, trying to move up with picks is easier to do than trying to move up with Saquon. If I gave somebody the 109 and the 201, just for example, I can move up a few picks.
If you believe in the Adunze Bowers tier, can you move up even? Yeah, you said 2 picks to get to the 107 and get one of them.
Exactly, and that's kind of my thought process, because typically, at least in the leagues I play in, people aren't buying the quote-unquote older running back at this time of year. They're buying him, as Ryan said, in the middle of the season when they're trying to make that championship run. That's when those older guys have the highest value. But right now, I'm trying to get picks if I'm a rebuilding team, and I think the 109 gives me the opportunity to move up a little bit. All right, let's do one more here. We'll do Hammy Takes. He wants to know, would you trade Breece Hall for the 107 Tank Dell and Trey McBride? No context here as far as his tight end premium or not, so I'm going to assume not, just because of it seems to be a little bit more niche. But I'm going to go to you first on this one, Kyle. So, again, the trade is Breece Hall for the 107 Tank Dell, Trey McBride, and he does say he's rebuilding and doesn't want to keep a high asset like Breece Hall.
And to be fair, I mean, if he smashes this year, he's probably going to be the RB1, RB2 next year. But let's say he doesn't have a great year, then I think we have less patience for him. So especially from that context of rebuilding, I think I want that package, like Tank Dell on that ascending offense. There were weeks where he was the wide receiver 1 overall, so he definitely has the upside just on his own to almost be worth it.
Yep.
You throw in, again, 107 if people really believe in the tier break there. I mean, frankly, as someone who's as high on Worthy as I am, I like that pick too, because it's like that's probably Xavier Worthy for me in my mind. But for most sane people, it would be someone else. And then Trey McBride. I mean, he's currently my tight end 3 in Dynasty, I believe, 3 or 4. So even if they presumably get Harrison or Neighbors, I'd imagine McBride is going to be number 2 in that team in targets. Them moving on from Hollywood Brown, I think signals they're okay with what they assume they're going to get in the first round, but also what they already have on the team. If you look on that team, not much there that like really comes close to Trey McBride. So I think he's going to smash this year. I think the one thing I wouldn't want to do with this, especially if it's not tight end premium, is just take Bowers at the 107, which could be the risk here. But that also means, okay, do you shop either Bowers or McBride to another team that really needs a tight end? So I think there's so much you can do with that combo of, it's a 3-for-1, but it's 3 really excellent pieces. Typically, when you see like 3-for-1s or 4-for-1s, there's a couple of those are kind of jumpy. So here's a random 3rd or 4th, but this is 3 legit pieces. So I'd take this package.
Ryan, what about you? What are your thoughts here?
I disagree. I would not take the package. I will not trade an elite asset, a first-round pick, because that's Breece Hall. He's a first-round dynasty pick. I'm not trading an elite asset for non-elite with no one elite back. Like, you're getting very good players. You can get more for Breece Hall. If you have a player like him, be greedy. Don't take a good offer. Take a great offer. Especially if you're rebuilding. You can be patient. You don't have to make a trade on March 20th for Breece Hall. You can get more closer to the season, a team who thinks they're contending, and they're running back way. They might give you more than that. If you're rebuilding, you're not trying to compete this year. Be patient. You can get more. Be greedy. Be super greedy. If you're not greedy, that's why you stay a loser. Like, you want to win.
I want to put that in quotations. If you don't stay greedy, that's why you stay a loser.
To Ryan's point with the patience, I'd also maybe, can you get more value if you're getting a 25 first as opposed to the 107 this year? People, the rookie fever, they especially right now, that 107, if someone likes Odunze and Bowers, and they know, okay, I'm guaranteed to get one of those two guys, that might also have value. If you structured this where it's a 25 first, you get a fourth piece. Like you get 4 really great pieces, and that's really the offer too. And then to Ryan's point, then you don't even, because I think maybe the idea of getting this trade done now is you want to get it done before the rookie draft. Maybe there's a crunch. No. Maybe this rookie draft happens before the NFL draft too. So like whatever time dependent, you're stuck there. But if you're targeting 25 firsts, you really have up until September to sell him before he starts, scoring points for you and kind of ruining your rebuild, right? Like that'd be to me, that's the deadline, is get him off your roster week 1. Like you do not want to go into week 1 with him on the team. And I mean, unless your league is fine with you just stashing him on the bench, if you're truly rebuilding, you don't want him scoring any points for you. So
we're just gonna leave the comment on the screen for the rest of the show where Jamie just says Geoff is so smart. We're just gonna.
And it's hilarious. I put that up. That was because I actually agree with it. So I know Jamie and I have disagreed on a lot of things tonight. Although I do actually like his go buy Roshan take as well. I'm definitely fine. Even if I like Swift, yeah, go buy any running back that he's probably lost value. So not that I really want to buy running backs before the draft. What do you think? Since Geoff is so smart, what do you think of this Brees Hall trade?
So I'm kind of with Ryan. I think he is essentially in a non-tight end, a non-SuperFlex league, he's the number 2 overall pick probably, right? I mean, it's probably Bijan, Brees Hall. I want multiple first-round value for that pick, and I don't know if Tank Dell or Trey McBride are.
They're not. They're not even close to first-round value right now.
Yeah.
Like it's taken me 3 first rounds to get rid of Brees Hall, if not more. Like in players.
Yeah,
you wouldn't.
No.
See, I would easily sell first-round rookie picks to get either McBride or Tank Dell.
I wouldn't.
Anything. 106,
maybe McBride, not Tank Dell.
Easily, I'll easily sell a 106 for either of them.
Considering that I'm a Nico Collins guy over Tank Dell.
I am too, but teams can have 2 receivers, especially a guy like Stroud. He can definitely support 2 wide receivers.
My first-round picks are going to guys.
Noah Brown going as wide receiver 1 certain week, so they had like 3 or 4 receivers he could support last year.
Yeah. All right. That is the listener questions. Let's get to our forgotten fantasy player.
Get ready for goingfor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Kyle, you've been brewing on this one for a while, so let's get your first clue here.
Well, first off, thanks, Geoff and Frost. I love both of you. I love being on the show. And because of that, I'm going to tailor a little bit towards you guys. So the first clue I'm going to give is the first reason I picked this player. And that reason is this player played for one of your teams.
Ricky Waters.
Not both. No, it's not Ricky Waters. Nice try. Nate Burleson. Yeah, Jamie went with the Canadian right off the bat. Going with the Canadian bias.
Well played, Jamie.
Well played. It's not Nate Burleson. I do love Nate Burleson, though. He's awesome. Even though he was a Lion.
Ricky Waters was our forgotten fantasy player a couple weeks ago, and Ryan gave me shit.
You thought about it? Yeah, I watched that. You thought about it and didn't say it. And then...
Yep.
All right. So, but okay, I'm also self-centered to a certain extent. So the second clue is the reason I chose this player, because he helped me. Sorry, what'd you say?
Packer.
No, fantasy bias, not team bias. Even more. I'm even more biased that way. But yes, this player actually helped me win my very first fantasy league in 2014.
2014. Okay, so
who's it? Ray Rice. You're not allowed to talk about Ray Rice in this day and age.
It's not Ray.
Okay.
Nice try.
2014.
Mark Rippon. Again, another. Yeah, Jamie's just keeping with the Canadians. No, it's not Mark Rippon.
He's about to
Super
go
Bowl
Chase
MVP,
Claypool.
though.
Chase Claypool played 2014 on both of these teams. It's okay.
All right, I need more than that. I need a little.
Okay, so the third hint is so honestly, the reason he helped me win in 2014 so much is because he was such a value. It had a great season 2014, but how cheap I got him in the draft. I think he was like a 7th or 8th round pick, and he was just a plug and play every week starter for the whole season. And the reason he went so cheap is because in 2013 he tore his ACL. I think during the preseason or maybe even in training camp, because he didn't play a single game in 2013. So, injury riddled season, that'll usually make the price dip. And it even though he was still the number one. Sorry?
Torrey Smith.
No.
Might be getting the year. I might be a little bit off on the years.
My years are real off.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Garrison Hurst tore his ACL. It wasn't Garrison Hurst, was it?
Yeah, if it's torn ACL, I'm immediately thinking San Francisco player.
Yeah, because we're good at tearing ACLs.
Now, this is where
Baltimore tears Achilles. San Fran tears ACLs.
I mean, Dobbins is both, unfortunately.
All right, so
on Bell.
Let me ask you this: so it was 2014 is the season you won your championship. Was he on one of our teams on that year?
So someone finally thought of that. No, he was not. And that's where my next clue is going to maybe help map this out a little bit for you. So that 2014 season was actually the last year of his rookie contract. And because of that massive breakout year, certainly helped me win a fantasy title, helped him get a lot of money because he actually left the team that drafted him and signed a big lucrative free agent contract in 2015.
Okay. Towards ACL, last year of his rookie contract, had his biggest year.
So, Geoff, it's probably a 49er because it's not a Ravens receiver. They never got really paid. And same with the running backs. They kind of stayed there because Priest, Holmes, Jamal Lewis were older than that. Those were 2000 and before. Wasn't Ray Rice. I think it's a 49er.
Okay. But 2014, we didn't have a ton of. Well, I guess again, last year of his rookie contract. I mean, for that time frame,
How about my next clue? I'll read his stat line from 2014, just so everyone knows how amazing he was. And this was
okay.
Like, oh my God.
Let's hear it.
Again, 8th round pick in redraft. He had 143 targets, 85 catches for 1,318 receiving yards and 10 receiving touchdowns.
100% a 49er. Not a Raven because
I don't know. We didn't have a lot of receivers that left to then go have. I don't know. I can't think of any that had like
not Emmanuel Sanders. And okay, so
next he started on the Steelers. Crabtree's a good one.
He
went to the Raiders. No, because he was earlier. He was like 06. Was his?
Yeah, we just didn't have a lot of rookies that signed big contracts.
They didn't sign the big contract with you guys.
No, but they left to sign a big contract, so they went somewhere else after being.
All right, so the sixth clue will be I'll reveal this information. Team that drafted him had his breakout 2014 season. That's team 1. Team he signed with was team 2, and then the one team of years that he played for was actually team 3, and that's when he retired. So he joined one of your teams later.
I agree with Jamie Bolton. I thought they were with our team and they had a good season. It was Bolton?
Not Bolton either.
Not Bolton. Nice try, Jamie.
So they were drafted by one of our teams.
Because the thing is with Bolton, that doesn't count as he played for both your teams. And I specified he only played.
They were drafted by our team, left.
No, the opposite. He retired with your team. So all of the rest of what I've said up to this point wasn't with your team. So that kind of misled you, to be honest.
Yeah, Steve Smith.
No. I think you said Torrey Smith earlier, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, it's not that, Jamie. Nice try. Similar time frame, though, really. I mean, like 2014, I think Torrey Smith probably had a really good season then. So, how about this? For the 7th
Derek
hint,
Mason.
No. For the 7th hint, I will reveal one of those teams. So, again, either the team that drafted him and he had his 2014 breakout season with that helped me win a fantasy title. I'll keep mentioning that as much as I can. Either the team 2, the team he signed that big free agent contract and the team that probably paid him the most money in his career, or team 3, that one of your teams that he retired with.
Go to the team 2 that he didn't play for us.
So the Kansas City Chiefs signed him in 2015 to a big contract. And there was a very clear reason because something funny happened in 2014 to the Chiefs. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Is that the year they didn't catch any touchdowns?
Exactly. They didn't have a single wide receiver catch a touchdown. And then you saw this guy go for 10 receiving touchdowns, 1,300 yards the year before, and you're like, yes, pay him.
Who the hell? Why can't I not?
And he did decently, to be honest. It was kind of worth it. Like his first year with Kansas City, he went for 1,000 yards and 8 receiving touchdowns. I think like it was almost like immediately week 1 or week 2, he broke the curse. And it was like, okay, yay, everything's right in the world.
He's definitely 49er.
What's the receiver that played for the Eagles that was opposite Deshaun Jackson?
I think Geoff got it.
Jeremy Maclin.
Jeremy Maclin.
There you go.
Yes.
Great teamwork, guys. Great teamwork.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So he
You got
was
it
a
before
Raven.
Jamie did.
Shit.
Good job.
Yeah, good
Nice
stuff.
job, guys.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a good one. Good one. That it definitely had me thinking because I'm
You definitely put those in a weird order though. I
thought
the whole time I thought the rookie year was with one of our teams.
No, I didn't say that, but I started off that way just to see, right? And he played 1 year for Baltimore, so it's like he barely counted as a Raven, to be honest.
Right.
I did wonder how misleading that would be.
That was definitely misleading because I'm thinking of guys that like had a decent career with one of our teams that tore an ACL because it doesn't, it's not, and I'm like coming up blank. Yeah, great.
Career low 40 catches with the Ravens that year he played in 2017. Yeah. Career low 440 receiving yards. Yeah, it was not so glorious there. But you know what? He helped me win a title. Yeah, I think 8th round pick, and then he produced that 1,300-yard season.
Did he help you win a title?
Yeah. Not in 2017, 2014.
2014.
My first ever title. And
he was real.
It's funny because I had Antonio Brown that year too. I think he was a 3rd round pick, and he was the wide receiver 1 overall. And I'm pretty sure Maclin finished as a top 12. So I got 2 top 12 receivers. I spent like a 3rd and an 8th round pick on. It was amazing because they literally all season plug and play. Never took them out of the lineup, and they led me all the way.
Good stuff. All right, that wraps the show up on a great forgotten fantasy player. Kyle, I want to thank you once again for the last minute jumping on, and Dan Toomey. Hopefully everything is okay. I know you had a last minute call out, but hopefully we can get you back on the show if you happen to catch the replay of this. But real quick, Kyle, give us a little rundown where we can follow you on Twitter and plug all your stuff.
Yeah, so I'm at Senra Says. On top of doing stuff for Going for Two live, like press coverage, which we've already scheduled the next episode. It's going to be Andrew Erickson on April 15th. So Andrew Erickson from Fantasy Pros. So someone I've interacted with before. I met him at the very first expo in 2019. So super great dude. Really looking forward to that. And yeah, the last episode was awesome. I know Jamie said he didn't think the guest was so great, but I thought Jamie was fantastic. great Jamie episode of press coverage. And then be doing a 2-point conversion. Courtney and I will figure out when we'll do that, either Sundays or Mondays. Probably do it twice a month. And Gladys hosts, in no particular order, mock drafts. I know they're doing sports movies tomorrow.
Ooh. It's the program's number 1, and nobody can tell me different.
Yes.
I mean,
even though nobody's seen that movie, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, I haven't actually. I actually don't really like sports movies, in spite of all the sports I watch. But I think it's probably because I just watch too many sports that like sports movie doesn't really interest me. At any point where it's like, well, there's probably a sport on right now, no matter what time of the year it is. So like, I'll just go watch this random golf tournament if I need to for a sports movie. Well, Jamie, if you want to join, just reach out to Gladys because I was supposed to be on. I had to not last minute cancel on her, so there might be an opening there. I know she did already have quite a few people joining, some good names, and there'll be I'll be joining a few mock drafts of hers throughout the year. So
if you haven't checked that show out, to the listeners out there, you definitely do check it out.
I need to get back on. I had so much fun on there. I need to get back on there.
Yeah, they did earlier this year. They did Valentine's Day movies. The day after Valentine's Day, they did Super Bowl halftime shows. I was recently on with Jamie as well, and Gerson actually making a random appearance on the GF2 Live Network. We did conspiracy theories. That was super fun.
I love conspiracy theories. Shout out the birds aren't real.
That was a tight end at the combine. Freaking tight ends, man. I also, outside the Going for Two Live Network, I co-host the Full Press Fantasy Pod and the Full Press Packers Pod at FPC_Fantasy Pod at FPC_Packers for those Twitter accounts. Fantasy Pod will be once a week throughout the off season, actually basically throughout the whole year. Maybe we get to twice a week in like the redraft months, July, August type thing. But yeah, we'll talk Dynasty. I guess still in the kind of free agency period right now, but starting in April, we'll be full rookie draft mode. And I know Foss is going to come on for the rookie wide receiver episode.
Yes,
he was on last year. I thought we had some great conversations then. He can yell at me about my Ladd McConkey rankings on this episode and my Xavier Worthy rankings too. So
I'm very opinionated and opposite on both, and I can't wait to talk about it.
That'll be great.
I have a very interesting stat about one of them.
Yeah, can't wait
that
to
I'm
listen.
saving because I need
It's a stat that's worthy of being told, isn't it?
Good teaser.
Oh boy.
Yeah, sorry. And you'll also get lots of bad puns. So if you want that too, you can definitely get a lot of those on the podcast.
Kyle is the king of puns, that's for sure. All right, Ryan, what you got?
Oh, same old. Going for 2. Rookie big board. See me on Kyle's podcast in a couple weeks, and that's really it. That's not exciting. Plus 534. Twitter.
These guys did a good job plugging the network. We got some great shows on the network. If you haven't checked it out, tomorrow night is the Dynasty Gambit that Kyle used to be on. He used to host that show. I think Gator and Steven are going to be doing that show tomorrow night.
It's a big risk being a host on that show because you never know if you're going to be on or not. I think Steven is I think I count through this. He's either the 8th or 9th host in the show's history of the now 4th year, I guess, doing it.
Yep, that is a show that has a lot of turnover, but it's a great show.
Slipknot drummer, but as the whole show.
Yeah.
It's not Slipknot, Spinal Tap.
As always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I do want to plug in a few weeks. We're going to have I believe it's our 9th annual NFL Round 1 mock draft. We got some great guests coming on that show. We usually have a good panel to do a first round NFL mock draft. It's one of the few times that we do something that's not fantasy related. So a lot of fun. So I think that's going to be April 14th. It'll be on a Sunday, a special night. So make sure you check your calendars on that one. You don't want to miss that show. For Ryan, for Kyle, I'm Jeff, and we will see y'all next week.